Well, hello everybody and welcome. It's a pleasure to spend the next hour with you. My name is Fumi and this is Public Eye. Today our conversation will be around the issue of consumer rights. When we use phrases like consumer rights, it might seem a little distant because there's a lot of grammar. However, what we really are going to gun for, pardon the use of seemingly violent language, is how do you get what you paid for? How do you get that the services and the goods you paid your hard-earned naira or whatever other currency it is for, you get it? And should it be that you don't get it, how do you get recompense? Now, this might seem like something that is a little simple, but it can be really, really complicated. Sometimes it can be life-threatening because there have been many reported cases of people who've taken medication or food and have not only been ill, or seriously injured, there have also been cases of people dying. This is not just regarding food or medicine, including things like medical practices, including all forms of services. So how do you get what you paid for? In Nigeria, I know that at a time we didn't have as many agencies in charge of this responsibility, but now we do. So then how do we ensure that we get what we deserve, or at least what we paid for? And if we don't, how do we ensure that we get the right compensation? That is what we are going to spend the next hour doing. I assure you that all the people we should have that conversation with are here, and we will get to the bottom of the matter. So don't go anywhere. We'll take a break. When we come back from the break, we will be talking about how to make sure that you get what you paid for.
Consumer protection is crucial for any economy's growth, and Nigeria is no exception. Unfortunately, many Nigerian consumers face exploitation, fraud, and unfair business practices.
I think the one I can remember are just food drinks. I could remember then we actually opened it and we discovered that the content inside is spoiled. We can't even take it.
When I collected products itself, you know when the product is not good. To be fishy, you look at it, it's looking rather old.
If the government can enforce some, Nigerians have fantastic laws and rules and ethics or whatever. If Nigerian government can enforce, that will serve as a deterrent to others.
This product, or I will call it a product, was taken from the dump site of companies that make this officially, that companies that register.
As an ordinary Nigerian, it's quite difficult. But the only thing you can do to protect yourself and your family is once you pick a product to be consumed, please properly look at the pack. From there you will get the expiring date and a lot of information about the drug you are going to take.
Over the years, there has been an increase in the distribution and selling of poor quality, expired, fake and dangerous consumer goods in Nigeria. Whilst there are laws in place for consumer rights, they are hardly being implemented and are regularly ignored.
Right, welcome back. It's Public Eye, and today we're talking about consumer rights. What are the rights guaranteed anyway? I will read them to you later on the show, but first I want to start with what happens when something goes wrong. Unfortunately, that happens more than it should. My first guest this morning, I'm really happy she's come. She's one of the brightest souls you can meet. Vivian Oduze is a 200-level university student at Unilag here in Lagos. Vivian was administered an expired malaria drug when she was only 6. As a consequence of this, she lost her sight. I'm really honored and thankful to her that she's chosen to join us today. Vivian.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you, ma'am.
I can see now. I've been jealousing your trousers since.
That's serious.
Jealousing it. Me, I cannot wear all these things that you young people are wearing anymore.
For you, man, no problem.
But know that we wore it first, too. Vivian.
Yes, ma'am.
You are very sunny.
Thank you, ma'am.
When you walked in here, all of us liked you immediately.
Oh, that's great.
Why are you not angry?
I can't be angry because I'm happy. At least what other people can do, I'm also doing it. Many people are in school, I'm in school. They can speak, I can speak. They walk, I walk. It's just the sight. So I'm always happy.
How did you know about what caused you to do you remember when you could see?
Yes, ma'am. I can.
You can
in fact,
remember?
very, very well, yeah.
Very well.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know, when did you know what caused the loss of sight?
Right from the day I got blind, right from the day the problem started, I knew what caused my problem.
Tell me about that time.
Okay, so all I could, or if I can remember vividly, then I found myself under the sun. You know, sometimes when we are sick, we like to sun our body if we are feeling cold, something like that. So I was seated under the sun in my school, primary school then. So my headmaster came to me and said, what's wrong with you? I said I was feeling cold, I wasn't okay. So I remember them taking me home then, and my mom giving me some paracetamol to calm the hotness. So when my daddy came back, they took me for tests at one El Shaddai hospital then. So where they did some tests and found out that it was malaria parasite. But instead of them treating me in the hospital, I mean my parents now, my daddy decided that, then he was working at one company called Urine Pure Water at Ikotin Egbe then. So he said my mom should bring me to their hospital. So according to him, this woman owned this hospital, and the hospital, they use it in their company. Maybe you want to enter, you make some tests, all those kind of things. So when they took me there, if I remember very well, the woman introduced herself, that her name, we should call her Mommy Tosin. So then she started giving me this drug. She said she could treat it. That is not only malaria according to her, but she would treat it. So she started giving us some drug, or a particular drug. The name of this drug is Tegrito tablets. That's the name of the drug. So later when I read about this drug, I found out that this drug is used for those with seizure or hypertension, things like that. But the woman was giving it to my parents to give to me. So my mom, being a naive person then, she would collect the medicine without asking the woman that, why are you bringing it out of the sachet, peeling it out of it, putting it inside a nylon bag, a pinna nylon for us. But then they were giving me. But as a child, even if I complained then, even when I was complaining to my parents, they did not really understand me. All I noticed that when I'm taking this drug, I always have this kind of strong headache, pain that connects to my nose, my mouth, my teeth, my ears, all around my body. But I would be screaming at the time. I was even screaming than before, but my mom was so scared. She told my dad. My daddy went back to the woman. The woman said, continue giving her, that the malaria is coming out of her body. So after some things started coming out of my body, like as if measles is doing a child. They went back to her. She said, continue, that the malaria is coming out of it, out of the body. So they continued giving me this drug. All I noticed then was all my body started peeling off. At the time, I was being laid or staying at a particular spot. They could not carry me up because if they lift me up, my skin would peel to the foam where I was sleeping. So they continued giving me the drug. Before then, my eyes started getting reddish, and all of a sudden, I lost my sight. So I could not see again. At the time, I could not even talk because my tongue got burnt. All my fingernails, if you can see, these are the evidence. The evidence of the drug. My lips got burnt, my eyelashes, everything fell off my body. So when they went to her, she said, don't stop giving her the drug. But my daddy was like, this girl is no more, we can't touch her again. All we can do is to use foam to press her body with agbo, this herb medicine and all these things. So some nurses came that they would be treating me, that they should stop the drug for that moment. They started treating me with different types of injections, drugs, but to no avail. So when they stopped all the drugs to use agbo for me, at the time, I feel, in fact, I started fainting anyhow, that I would just lost consciousness, and just like that, they would scream my name. Sometimes they would go and call prayer meeting people to come and pray for me. They would pray and pray and pray for hours. I won't be able to breathe. But God's so kind. God wanted me alive. I will come back again, and all like that. So from then, when my body started getting okay, where they could carry me, they went back to her. That's my dad now again. That, okay, her body is not getting okay. What should we do? She said, bring her. There is an injection I will give to her. So when my daddy came back to my mom refused. That, like, you are not taking my daughter to that woman. That, let's take her to real hospital, to bigger hospital. When I said, but this hospital, we've been using it in our company. My mom said, no, let's take her to the hospital. This is my daughter. Let's take her to hospital since we can carry her now. So then they took me to Isolo General Hospital. So when we got there, we met a particular doctor who did some tests. After the test, the doctor started shouting at my parents that, what have you been giving to this girl? What? As in, is there anything that has spoiled, maybe expired stuff? But I said, nothing, no. That different nurses have been treating her. So he said, what are the drugs that they've been using? Because they don't always give them the pack, they could not remember the name. They said some drug like that. So the doctor said, okay, from today, don't give her any drug. Let's be treating her in the hospital. After a while, my brother got sick. My daddy brought him to the hospital. So after treatment, on his way home, he branched back to that hospital because he trusted that woman. That let him go and even collect the drug again and come and continue giving his daughter that cannot talk. Maybe since the body is getting okay, maybe she will start talking. So when he got there, as God would have his own way now, he met the woman inside a car with her children and the other car with her properties. So he asked her that, Matosi, where are you going to? She said, I'm traveling to Namibia. My husband said we should come. But then he said, what about the drug? That, my daughter is still dying. She's in the hospital. We need to be giving her the drug. Then she called on one lady from there that she should bring so drug for my dad. So instead of telling the lady that peel it or peel them out of the sachet, she just told the lady, give him 2 packs of that drug. So the lady went in and brought the drugs and gave them to my dad. So my daddy, on getting home, he picked one of the drugs to read. He said that this drug had already expired for 4 years before they were administering it to me. So my daddy was like, no, maybe he's hallucinating, that let him get home first. After getting home, the same thing. So the following day, my daddy ran to the hospital and said, I've seen what is killing my daughter. The doctor said, when the doctor collected it, he read it, he was screaming. He said, where is the hospital? We need to sue the hospital. That this thing has caused this girl what they call Steven Johnson syndrome, and is a very strong reaction to any expired things, or a strong reaction from anything that has already been expired, something like that. So the doctor started treating me with different drugs to see, because according to the doctor, he said this Steven Johnson syndrome had caused sulfur, something like that, in my body. And
so sulfur poisoning within the body?
Yes, something like that, inside my body. And due to this, it would be very hard to administer any kind of drugs to me. So the doctor started treating me. After everything, I started speaking, but all I noticed was I could not see. No matter anything, I can't. In fact, if he asked me, what color is this? I can't see anything. I was always crying that, Daddy, Mommy, I can't see you. That what's wrong with my eyes? So after they took me home, because of the reaction of the drug, the thing started burning more, as in burning my body more and more, my lips, my tongue, everything. But because they stopped the drug then, I was able to get myself a bit. So that was how I found myself into the world of
Vivian,
yes,
I'm listening to your story and I'm angry. I think everybody feels the same way.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just angry. Yes. Let me just ask a few questions,
okay,
because some things are clear. This woman, Mama Tosin,
yes, ma'am,
was a health practitioner. Do we know for sure if she's a doctor or a nurse? Was she a doctor or a nurse? Do we know? Nobody knows for sure. Okay, but she was operating from a hospital that the company your dad worked in used.
Yes, ma'am.
That is the company they use officially for their staff.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that so?
Yes, ma'am.
So the company is liable, the woman is liable. Does the company still exist?
I don't think so. Even the woman, the hospital got closed by because they had to report the case then, but then she ran away. So they just closed there. I don't know what.
So your family reported the case?
Yes, ma'am.
To the police?
Yes, ma'am, with the doctor.
With the doctor?
Yes, ma'am.
And the government, the agency, which agency was in charge?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
Yes, ma'am.
But they followed up the story?
Yes, ma'am, but they could not find them.
They couldn't find, the woman ran away?
Yes, ma'am.
Till today, nobody knows where she is? Nobody knows her name?
Nobody.
What about the company?
The company, I don't think the company is the owner of the hospital, because the woman said she is the owner of the hospital, that she's a doctor, according to her. She told my mom that she's a doctor, and this is her hospital that she's managing. She will soon be traveling out to go continue her profession abroad.
So for all we know, she has jackpot since?
Yes, ma'am.
If you go wherever she jackpot to find out, they will send her back today. Yes. If we can find out who she is, we can dabaru her hustle wherever she is for sure. Yes. But that's another thing. I feel like fighting on your behalf, but I don't know who to fight per se. So let me leave the fight alone and come back to you. That happened many years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it's very clear that you remember the details even now properly, yes, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, what can anybody do? You know? I mean, I know you said you are not angry. You're a student. What are you studying now?
Guidance and counseling.
Guidance and counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I can see. You know, I can see because you have this equanimity. You have this calm. Yes. That's good. But what would you like to see differently? What would you like so that this kind of thing happens to less? I've read terrible stories too. I've read stories of people who died, you know, and cases like that. So as you said, that you're here itself is something to be thankful for. But what would you like to happen?
For me, I think this consumer protection we are talking about is very low in Nigeria. Very, very low in the sense that there are many things we buy that we lay complaints about. Many things. Some at times when you get pure water, you see the nylon is very soft, the water tastes differently and everything like that. I think the seriousness to which or to producing things should be taken by the people producing them, I mean to say. Maybe when producing them, they should take people to their heart, think about people's life and everything. All I want to say is good things, just the way it is outside there. I don't think much complaint is being given about how they produce things outside this country. So what I want to see is just change.
Right.
Just change.
Okay. I mean, Vivian, what we would like to see is just the example you gave, for example, I know when pure water became a thing in Nigeria, it wasn't always so. Which one is even pure water? Because that suggests that there's impure water. Yes. You know, when I was very young, I remember water came out of your tap, which you can drink, yes, in this country. You know, and that's a different conversation, but it should be that clean water comes to homes, so there's nobody, if you then want to do packaged water, and you want to buy packaged water, it's a different thing. Even that should be regulated.
Yes, but not only water. Mm-hmm. Many other things, like, you know, when you get into a restaurant, when you want to use your money to buy what you want to eat, and you buy food and what you are tasting is not okay. So, just not only pure water, many other things that we eat, drink, and so on like that.
Right. I mean, you are completely right. And I don't know what else to say, because there are many levels to it. There should be standards organization for every industry that ensures that a certain standard is not dropped. Exactly. You know, and they must be monitored all the time. Properly, yes, which is even different from the consumer rights people who are there only when you have violated, you know, the rights. Yes. Before then, there should be somebody ensuring that you can't even get away with it. And it's in every industry, every sphere. Yes, you are still going to be with us because we'll talk to people who have more, you know, detailed knowledge about all of this. But all I want to say to start with, I'm really sorry this happened to you. Yes, I'm really, really sorry. But I'm also really pleased to meet you and to see how you have carried on regardless. Yes, I think you're a great inspiration to anyone and everybody. I mean, so Vivian, anyone who's watching you will find you incredibly inspirational. And I look forward to hearing more great stories about you in the future.
Yes.
But you are still here with us because we are going to need to get to more details on this issue.
Okay, ma'am.
So please stay. All of you also stay because I can feel you all itching to get into the conversation. And you at home, please stay. Let's take a break and we'll come right back.
I had the strangest phone call today, Adrian.
I knew a dirty little secret.
This was another lifetime. Before I met you, Ada.
It's all lies. Isn't it, Adrian?
There's some truth in it.
If your personal life is affecting your work and your colleagues.
If I had told you about my past, you never would have given me a chance.
That is not a decision for you to make.
It's good you came. You see, the Holy Spirit spoke to me about you.
I remember you.
We go way back.
Why are you doing this to us? I gave you everything.
This is a sin.
You're a coward. Get out!
Sooner or later, something must kill a man.
Right, welcome back everybody. It's Public Eye and our conversation today is around and about consumer rights. In front of me is Loveline Okafor. Loveline is the Program Director for Consumer Advocacy and Empowerment Foundation, KDEF. Now, KDEF is an organization that's dedicated to the empowerment, protection, emancipation, and enlightenment of consumers in Nigeria. She herself serves on several boards and works actively in the intersection of policy, media, and consumer advocacy. As they say on the streets, she's Sabi.
Thank you very
Sabi
much.
Very good to see you.
I'm delighted to be here for me.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Right, also here with us is somebody who I would say, listening to him earlier, preparation, meets opportunity. Because I heard that even when he was 18, he fought for somebody whom he didn't know on the streets with law enforcement agencies. You know what that means in Nigeria. But that was in the 80s, don't do it now. Mr. Afolabi Sholebo is a public prosecutor. That means he spent many, many years, working in the area of getting justice and rights for people. He's currently the general manager of Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency, that's LASCOPA, and he's not only a public prosecutor, he's a chartered mediator, and conciliator. Great to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me on the program. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. You heard Vivian tell her story.
Yeah.
What did you make of it?
Well, hearing the story, it's a very pathetic one, and it's something that I believe that ordinarily should be investigated, and all culprits should be prosecuted and dealt with according to the law.
I wanted to ask you, Loveline, that you must hear many cases, specifically because I know if we wanted to cast a wide net, it would be many things. But if we zero in even on consumables, which the effects can be rapid in that regard, why is this so bad?
Well, you see, as I listened to her story, I felt quite bad because I'm like, Vivian is just one person. There are other people that are going through things that are not even saying anything. Like some people will say in Nigeria, please, I don't want wahala, let us just leave this matter, and I've heard it a lot because of the position I serve on, so people come and I'm like, okay, can we take this further? And they say, just leave it, don't worry, I don't want problems. But you see, you don't want problems and it keeps going on. But if we start speaking up, so one thing I would tell people is, please speak up, because by the time you speak up, investigations could start. people can start asking questions. People want to know what's going on. People want to profess solutions. Regulatory bodies are not able to help if they don't know what is going on. So we must point fingers, we must say something. So I'm delighted she's saying something even now, because I know that it's really helping people to see that there are things going on out there. People have to speak up.
Why is it that supermarkets, stores, hospitals sometimes, shops, are able to still get away with selling expired drugs, substandard drugs, poor drugs, all of those kind of things, and food items? Why are they able to get away with it? Why is it still happening so rampantly?
All regulatory bodies that has to do with consumer-related, especially consumables, should wake up to their responsibilities. They know themselves, and I don't want to be mentioning names here. Ordinarily, there are some things that ought to have been nipped in the bud before it gets to the marketers, the distributors, and you name it. If those things were being taken care of, and there's lots of trying to investigate, like at La Scopa, we have the monitoring and enforcement unit. What does the monitoring and enforcement do? What do? They go around the whole state every other day to check supermarkets and grocery stores. One, we serve them compliance notices, and we check them out. Our line with what Mrs. Okafor said earlier, that a whole lot of people keep quiet. You cannot keep quiet. You should stop suffering in silence. If you see anything, report to the appropriate quarters. Just like La Scopa now, we are on social media handles and everywhere. Like an incident that happened recently. It's not as if maybe it was reported in our office. It was something that was going on social media, and I got wind of it, and we took steps immediately. And lo and behold, the quantity of expired products that was found in that particular supermarket was something that I had no choice that day than to lift everything away from there, because if you leave them, definitely they may take them away and everything. But the most important thing is that all regulatory bodies that regards consumer rights, because you said something about, if you look at Mr. Governor of Lagos State themes agenda, it was specific about health and environment, education and technology, making Lagos 21st century economy that we all crave for. Health and environment, we have to take care of it, because they say health is wealth. What goes to the body is very important, because it may harm you and it may eventually lead to death. And you wonder the numbers of supermarkets and grocery stores in this state that they still, despite being sealed, fined, some of them still persist in selling all these products. How many functioning hospitals do we have? How many people do have money when it comes to deposit some money before we treat you? So we should consider that, and people should start speaking out. Stop saying, oh, I leave it to God. God will not come down and help you. We have to start helping ourselves and educating ourselves. You go to a supermarket, you just pick up something and you go. You go to a drugstore, you just pick up something and you go. Part of consumer education, which the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency is trying to share with the whole Lagosian, is check any product you're buying, check the product information. Does it have NAFDAC number? Does it have the date it was manufactured? Definitely it must have an expired date. And if you find out anything fishy, probably some of them do try to mutilate or doctor the date, then you shouldn't buy, and make a report to the necessary and appropriate authority like the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency. I will be there.
You know, it seems to me that a lot is being asked of the consumer, because then you are going to become almost a detective for every single thing you want to buy. It means that giving half a choice, for those who can afford it, they will never buy anything that we are making here, or even things that are brought here, they won't touch it. Now, we can say that's 1%, so they can carry their wahala and go. What about the rest of the people?
Okay, so I believe that the organizations are quite, for some of them, I would say that they are doing the job, but probably not as much as they should be doing. You know, I found out that SON, the Standards Organization of Nigeria, is no longer like they don't have the right to be at the ports anymore, in the sense that they are there to check the standards of goods. So it's left to maybe the customs and all these other people that do not exactly, in the sense, to check the standards. They can check, oh, what's coming in and all that, but the standards of the products, they are not able to check. So these things come into the country. These things begin to spread. So I believe that the government has to look more into what could be done to, I mean, if we can stop, you know how we try to say, okay, during the COVID period, we try to protect the country, not allowing the COVID to come into the country by setting certain standards. It's possible to set these standards from the beginning, from the source, so that they don't even get to come in. And then when it now has to be to do with the ones that are being produced in Nigeria, then the regulatory bodies are here. The Standards Organizations of Nigeria should now begin to look into these things and make sure that the products that are manufactured in the country are actually standard products. You know, so really for me, it's in two ways: protecting the things that come into the country, and actually the ones that are produced in the country, the people in charge should now be able to care for the lives of the people and look out to see how they can make things better, how they can nip things in the bud.
For Lagos State, for example, those other agencies, I don't know how the interface happens between, you know, NAFDAC, you know, because they have regional offices, you know, SON, you know, and so on and so forth, and your agency.
We have other regulatory bodies like NAFDAC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, Manufacturer Association of Nigeria, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, even Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have the Ministry of Health, and all these mentioned are being represented on the board of the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency. And myself, on assumption of office, I ensure that I visited each and every of those bodies mentioned, and even went further to Abuja to see the head of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Why this? Because we are all stakeholders and we have to synergize. There are some things you will see, and like I said, ours is to protect and promote consumer rights in Lagos State. But there are some other federal things that may come up that we may need to synergize with NAFDAC, we may need to synergize with even FCCPC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, or Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. So it's a war that should be fought by everybody, all stakeholders in this business of ensuring that not only that consumers in Lagos, Nigeria should get value for their money, but should get satisfaction and also be protected against any form of hazardous products, substandard products, any form of unscrupulous trade practices.
Right. I mean, you alluded to some things that, knowing the laws of this country, I understand how they can be quagmire unless they're handled properly. And that's really which agencies are handled by a state, which one is a federal, you know, who is in control of what, which of course at the end of the day is just really what should work for the people. Let me give specific examples. So I know, for example, you shut down certain supermarkets, you know, at given times. You mentioned even one example, though you didn't say their name. It seems like in the immediate, that's commendable. But usually those supermarkets are reopened, you know, and sometimes they carry on doing what they do.
Yes, definitely in the course of, apart from people lodging complaints or giving us information as regards that, we've sealed a series of supermarkets, and the law is very clear. There's a fine for a first-time offender. There's a fine for a second-time offender with imprisonment. And also the state and the law gives the power to seal totally. I mean, without that particular shop or particular supermarket or product can be blacklisted. And it will be published and let the public could know about it. Maybe when you apprehend them, or maybe you get the products with them being expired and they're first-time offender, they will go to court, you get an order from the court to seal, we'll take them to court, they will be made to pay fine or imprisonment, and the second time offender. But if it happens the third time, it is going to be total sealing of that particular supermarket and product found there to be expired may be outrightly blacklisted.
Vivian, let me bring you in at this point.
Okay.
Because, for example, yours was a case, you mentioned earlier that your family did try to get, you know, this lady,
Yes.
you know. Why did you leave it?
I left it because, number one, I'm not from a rich family. That's the main thing. Because if, for instance, maybe my daddy is a rich kind of person that is well known, I know many people would, because at least some stations, some people have written my story, which people have seen. So I don't have anyone to speak for me. And aside from that, people were always telling me that forgive and forget. So I don't know anyone who listens to my story always say, just forgive the woman and let her go, so that God Almighty will always be there for you. I told them, I said, for me, I was a child then, so I don't know what was to keep someone in mind. But I can't forget the story, because it's something I used to remember then. I used to play, run around with my friends, all my sighted friends. At least I still see some of them. So it can't be easily forgotten. So that was why I totally left the issue. And the last one is that we don't have any idea of where the woman can be seen. That's just it.
Mr. Sheikh, that's for many people who say, let's leave it to God.
Yes, ma'am.
It is true that for them, they just really feel they don't have the resources, they don't have the power, they don't have the voice.
Thank you very much. Yes, we've seen a lot of people that will say, let's leave it to God. But what about justice? And she just mentioned something now that because the family is not rich. And I can tell you, unfortunately, a lot of people are not tapping into some things that Lagos State government is doing. We have the Office of the Public Defender. And the Office of the Public Defender, if such a case like ours have been reported to them, and I can assure you, they offer free and quality service just like the Lagos State Consumer Protection Agency, just like the Citizens Mediation Center. These are units under the Ministry of Justice way back 1999 that are now agencies and parastatals now. If a case was reported at the Office of the Public Defender, which I know, as at that time she was talking about, most of those people that were even working then are now judges and directors somewhere, and some people have been trained. You see, you don't let something of this nature to just slide. That is why they say, as a consumer, much as you have rights, you have responsibilities. And one of your responsibilities is to speak out. Speak out and don't suffer in silence. Seek redress, and I'm sure you will get redress and you get justice. If a case has been reported to the Office of the Public Defender, I'm telling you that a matter will be taken up to the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, and I believe she will get justice. But unfortunately, it's turned out to this. So she needs to seek redress and get justice. It's never too late.
Do we have
can
cases?
Still be given you can still look into our case.
Okay, could we actually, because I think that sometimes signals matter, examples matter. And because you are here with her today, I think that, you know, on a platform like this, is something we can also follow up to see where this particular case goes. So I would like to see if we could actually take on Vivian's case and see where it goes. Is that a possibility?
It is not impossible.
If she's willing.
If she's willing, we can, maybe after this sitting, I can tell her how to start to go to the Office of the Public Defender, and I believe they can still take up our case. And in Lagos State, no matter whose ox is God, when it comes to issues like this, zero tolerance. Just like zero tolerance for breach of consumer rights in Lagos State.
Right. Are there other cases we can reference that you know of, for example, that have been, because once people start seeing it will work, you know, perhaps more people will step forward. Because it's easy to see the large supermarkets, but as you mentioned, there are mom and pop companies making pure water in the backyard, and people live close to them, and somebody can report them who is in their compound.
Because they are not voicing out. Those people are not reporting. We've seen a number of cases that we just get a tip and we go there and we find out. Either, you know, sometimes people can come up with frivolous and accusation and everything. But if we carried out an investigation and found out, definitely that person will be prosecuted. But people are finding it difficult. For example, recently, because of what Lascopa is doing, somebody actually sent me a message that, oh, there are about 3 supermarkets in his area that he is very sure that they sell expired products. And all I ask is, give me the name. They said, no. So you can imagine people like that. And I say, it's very simple. Say, love your neighbor like you love yourself. People, even people selling, I do ask them, what if your cousin, your family members come and buy this stuff and consume and die? We will not be talking about consumer rights again. We're talking about death.
Lovely. So this is a very important point. I'm wondering if advocacy can include even talking, because the example that has been given is quite powerful. When people hear something said to them by their pastors, their imams, their priests, you know, their babalawo, they pay attention. Do you know what I mean? And I also am Nigerian enough to know that sometimes there's a tendency for victim blaming. And I think that sometimes that happens because people don't think you will get justice anyway. So they will internalize it. They don't mean to, but they internalize and they blame you because they feel helpless. You know, I myself have been in places where when I want to fight for something, they'll be like, it's you. You know, after a while, and they'll say, why did you do it? I'm like, what do you mean? You're blaming me for being alive, you know, because some of those things. So what can we do in terms of advocacy that can, because immediately as he was talking about, I was like, what if even these authority figures and the authority figures in the society, if they are persuaded to be part of this journey, that you must encourage your people to follow the course of the law.
Yeah. So part of what we do in CADEF is to take advocacy to the different places, to strategic stakeholders we know that are able to lend a voice. We even take it to secondary schools. We tell them, you have rights as consumers. Your children, but you have rights. So now we are beginning to set up consumer clubs even in secondary schools. We talk to them, we tell them, if you see your mommy, if they say, oh, let's leave it, no, say, mommy, you have a right, you can speak up, we can talk about these things. So we go to the market, we talk to the market women, we talk to people, we take advocacy everywhere that is possible.
I hear you in what you're saying, but how about, do we have practical cases?
I can give you a series of examples. Number one, consumer rights has categories. We have automobiles, we have insurance, we have people doing online transaction. Let me start with the automobiles. There's a particular automobile company in this Lagos state, and people reported that they bought vehicles from them, and the vehicle is still within warranty and 5-6 months, and the vehicles were given issues. It was reported at Lascopa, and you were asking something about when you mentioned mediation and conciliation. When you mediate between parties, you try to resolve matters between them. Then when the matter is resolved, that is, you have reconciliated the parties and it's a win-win situation. So when the matter was reported, and I called the management of the automobile company, and they're like, the person has bought, blah, blah, they'll try to repair. These vehicles are not repairable because consumer has to do with repair, replace, or refund. And those vehicles, they were actually bad. We went front and back. I'm like, there's room for mediation. But when we cannot resolve through mediation and conciliation, then we will have to resort to litigation. And I told them, I'm going to court. Lo and behold, it's on record. I can show you the record. I have the checks with me. Over 30 million naira was refunded to the complainant. That's one. There are some things that people don't believe that are possible. Another one is electricity. Most people, they give them estimated billings and everything. And I can tell this forum that Lascopa has recovered over 31 million naira from IKDC as credit adjustment for people.
You can get your money back?
They use it as credit adjustment for you. Let me give you an example. Probably they'll be bringing estimated billings for you and it's running to about 1 or 2 million naira. And they discovered that it is that they were wrong, and ordinarily that should not be your bill. They can give you a credit adjustment of over ₦1 million or close to the barest minimum that, let me say, maybe after calculating the cap and everything, they discover that all your bill you've accumulated is no more than maybe 200,000 naira. So the 1-point-something million will be used as credit adjustment. They take that away from you and you pay the bills. If from EKDC, we recovered over 5 million naira as credit adjustment for people. That aside, we recovered over 13 million naira where people use ATM and the money did not dispense, and you go to the bank, they told you that the money has dispensed. We bring them to our office, they sit down there. Almost all the banks, they come to our office. They sit down, they resolve. That's how we're able to recover. For people doing even online transaction that they'll tell you they made a erroneous transfer. And we tell them, come, it's very simple. The money moved from a particular account to another account. The person that owns that other account is not a spirit. We want to know who owns that account. With that, we've got a refund of over 13 million naira. Those are examples, they are clear. If you Google or maybe you follow La Scopa on Instagram or Facebook, you will see beneficiaries that are giving testimonies as regards of what they've gotten from the agency either through mediation and even some litigation that eventually, if you cannot settle, would go to court.
Let me ask a question. You all live in Lagos, right? You all live in Lagos. Who knows about La Scopa?
Let me give you an example. Let me say something. This is Lagos State. La Scopa is about Lagos State. In Lagos State, we believe and we know that consumers are kings. We do public enlightenment, both on radio and television. You want to ask the audience, how many of them do watch LTV8? How many of them listen to traffic radio? How many of them listen to Echo FM? That is Lagos State. La Scopa is about Lagos State.
I have also noticed it, even as far back as when I was doing New Dawn, that everybody says they love on NTA. You found people who say, I don't watch NTA as a rule. And I'm like, okay, I can understand if you say I don't like NTA and we must change it. You cannot say you are not engaged with where you are. I'm going to let us take a break so that we can face one another on this matter and see where we should go. At the end of the day, I want every single young person here to know what the steps are to take. Should there be a violation, what their responsibilities are, and also know and follow the agencies they should be engaged with. I use the word engage. You don't have to like an agency anyway. Let's take a break and challenge each other around and about that after the break.
I had the strangest phone call today, Adrian.
I knew a dirty little secret.
This was another lifetime before I met you, Ada.
It's all lies. Isn't it, Adrian?
There's some truth in it.
If your personal life is affecting your work and your colleagues.
If I had told you about my past, you never would have given me a chance.
That is not a decision for you to make.
It's good you came. You see, the Holy Spirit spoke to me about you.
I remember you.
We go way back.
Why are you doing this to us? I gave you everything.
This is a sin.
You're a coward. Get out!
Sooner or later, something must kill a man.
All right, welcome back. And if you are just joining us, we're talking about consumer rights. In essence, we're talking about getting, value for the services. Is it a car? Is it food? Is it drugs? Is it services? All. all and every one of these ones. Okay, who's going to go first?
Why is it that Lascopa's publicity on the media, why is it not enough? Because a lot of people out there now don't know about Lascopa. If you go to the street and you ask people, do you know what Lascopa is? Majority don't know what Lascopa is, and other several agencies. So why is it that these agencies, their media publicity is not enough?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, we talk about publicity. Yes, let me tell you, just like I said earlier, a lot of people here don't listen to our local stations. I mentioned the LTV8, I mentioned Traffic Radio, I mentioned Echo FM and so on. We, on our own part, we are doing our best. We've done series of public enlightenment on all those mentioned media, like the LTV8. I've spoken even Yoruba to do public enlightenment. Also, let me bring it to your attention that not only do we have the head office, which is located at Allen Avenue, upon assuming office, we've been able to establish other offices. We are in Bariga, LCDA, we are in Ikorodu local government, we are in Badagry local government, we're also in Nukoyi, Obalende, and Ojo local government. It is a continuous thing. And by being here today and being opportune to be on this show, I believe that it's part of public enlightenment. And most of you here will take it home and tell your friends and families about Lascopa. So that's about publicity.
My question is, are there no agencies that needs to see through these advertisements, will I say scripts, before bringing it out to the public?
That is part of consumers have responsibilities. You may see the advert and they may advertise something for you to use. But the most important thing is you can't use a particular drug that is not prescribed for you. If it's not prescribed for you, what will work for your system may not work for another person's treatment. I may use Fensic, and I may not will use Fensic. You people are not, I'm not sure any of you do know Fensic.
I don't think they know Fensic. Yes.
I may use Alabukun to work for me. I may use Panadol and it will not work for me. I may use paracetamol and it will not work for me. But it will work for others. So you have to know what is good for your system. And the only body that regulates drugs is NAFDAC.
All right. I mean, we've had, I feel, an engaging conversation. I mean, do you agree? Yeah. I think that there are some things that we didn't fully realize, that all of us, I myself have come to realization about certain things that I didn't know before. And so I feel my job is nearly done. When I feel my job will be done is if we can do something regarding Vivian's case. I like that she came forward. I think it shows what's possible even after all these years, if something can be done. I've had interactions with the Office of the Public Defender. It's one of the offices in Lagos that personally I like, you know, because I've seen some of the works they've done before in the past. So as we said, if she's willing, you know, I mean, and there are two different organizations that can mediate. You know, we can also do updates and see where it goes. We don't know where it can go, but we won't know unless we try. Vivian, what says you?
No problem. I'm fully ready.
You're fully ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I really like Vivian. And I'm not pretending, I really like her.
Thank you.
You know, as a person. Aww. Thank you so much. And also, Ms. Okafor, Evelyn, thank you for bringing your knowledge and energy to the show. Any further thing that you want to send when you are doing your sensitization, let us know.
Thank you. Thank you. So one last thing I will just leave for everyone is consumer rights are human rights. Don't drop it. Don't leave it. Speak up and be willing to go the extra mile to get things done.
And Mr. Sholebo, final notes.
Yes, I think we have the same regular slogan. We say, do not die in silence. Your rights is your rights. They are there for you. You are being protected by the law. And in Lagos State, consumers are kings. And until you come forward with your complaints And there are no complaints that cannot be resolved either through mediation or through litigation.
Right.
And I also want to say that La Scopa does not take money from anybody. We offer free and quality service to Lagosians. And do not hesitate to come over where you believe or you think your consumer rights have been infringed upon. Mr. Governor of Lagos State do have zero tolerance for breach of consumer rights in this state, no matter whose ox is God. Thank you.
Right. So, well, it's on that note I'm going to say thank you for watching. I mean, to leave, I would like to say it's usually clear to us, all of us, what our personal rights are, what we feel it is, and our personal responsibilities. I also think that we don't live in a vacuum. We live in a society of people. And it's important to think through all the time when we consider our personal rights and responsibility to think about the collective rights and responsibility that keep us functioning as a society. With the topic we discussed today, oftentimes when we take decisions that seem to work for us in the moment, especially if we think it is profitable, it has a way of coming back to hurt us. One of us, ourselves, one way or the other. I hope that we take the right decisions at every given point. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again. Bye-bye now.